My 39th crop. I started in 1986, the year I graduated high school. I could plant an acre of beans in 1986 for 30 bucks. It irritates me that you don't have the guts to acknowledge that the people do not pay the tariffs. I don't care if it's John Deere, Case, Caterpillar, all that stuff is outsourced overseas. And the guy that pays it is the guy that purchases it. I can buy a bearing for a combine, and it's made in Taiwan, or who knows where. Parts have over doubled in the last year, if you can get them. The dealer at Marshall has a backlog for almost 4 months because they can't get parts because of Trump's stupid tariffs. I think agriculture has taken a heck of a hit on a lot of misinformation, and he is not helping the farmer. I mean, we farm about 3,500 acres. We are going to be so far in the red. When are you going to stand up for us instead of kissing his ass for these trade deals? And the tariffs, more so the tariffs than the trade.
1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September's upon us. Harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field.
This is what happens when a bunch of entitled MAGA voting Americans stand on a box and push isolationist policy, like tariffs. You guys said that all the other countries will be affected by these tariffs, but we as Americans are untouchable. Let's isolate America. We don't need any other countries. Let's put America first. Well, the soybean farmers who overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump fucked around and found out that that just isn't the case for them. Most of their soybean crops are bought by China because America does not consume that many soybeans. They rely on China to buy the soybean crops. China earlier this year came out and said, ew, we don't want your soybean crops. You can sell them to someone else because we're going to go to Argentina to get ours. That's exactly what they did. And like you just heard the soybean farmer say, they have nothing on the books. They have nobody to buy their soybean crops, and they are SOL for it. I don't know, maybe you should have put America first and grown corn. You should have switched to corn, I guess. You chose to grow soybeans, which, just quite simply, I guess is not putting America first. You should have chosen potatoes. If you wanted to go full isolationist and vote for a man who wanted to isolate us and, throw away our relationships with foreign nations, that's what you chose. And now no one wants to buy your crops. Crops that you grew knowing that they needed to be exported, yet voted for Trump anyways. Classic. My name is Mercedes Chandler. I don't feel bad for you guys. Give me a follow or you won't see my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
Everyone has some late breaking news. China now gets all its soybeans from Brazil because of Donald Trump's tariffs. So you got to think, how much money did the United States lose over this? How much taxable income did the United States lose? So now Brazil is China's #1 importer for these soybeans. They're getting it all from Brazil. So how do you think this is hurting the American people? Because of Donald Trump's tariffs, China does not rely on the United States for this product. So basically, the farmers are losing, and the workers and everyone else involved in the soybean industry, which is also people who deliver it, transport it. So it's a big chain, and they're all losing. So Mr. Trump, I bet Brazil is absolutely thankful for what you did.
Doug Fuller's family has been farming in northern Polk County for generations.
Now I get to call all the shots.
He's already nervous about the cash crop he's about to start planting. Soybeans are the target of China's retaliatory tariff, 10% on certain imports from the United States, in response to President Trump's 10% blanket tariff on Chinese goods. Fuller is fearful it spells bad news for the 2025 harvest.
You know, they aren't good for the other countries, they aren't good for me. And who could blame them putting reciprocal tariffs on us? You know, it's just a match, you know. And nobody's going to win.
China is one of the largest overseas markets for American soybeans. According to the USDA, the United States exported nearly $13 billion in soybeans to China last year alone. Fuller has already faced 2 years of bean prices dropping and says it looks as if the trend may continue.
Last year we took a step back, and now we're taking another step back. So I'm, you know, many of us will, you know, we'll get through it, and it's going to be tough on others.
Well, we depend on the Chinese market, and the reason we depend so much on this market is China consumes 61% of soybeans produced worldwide. The rest of the world is 39%. Of the soybeans that American farmers produce, 25% currently have been going to China. And right now, we have zero sold for this crop that's starting to be harvested right now. So it's a 5-alarm fire for our industry that 25% of our total sales is currently missing. And right now, we are not price competitive with Brazil due to the retaliatory tariffs that are in place. Our prices are about 20% higher, and that means that the Chinese are going elsewhere because they can find a better value. And the American soybean farmers and their families are suffering. There's 500,000 of us that produce soybeans, and we desperately need markets, and we need opportunity, and we need a level playing field so we can compete, because we grow a great product, but we have to be price competitive as well. And there's an artificial barrier that is built with these tariffs that makes us not be competitive.
Soybean farmers in Arkansas are begging for help from the Trump administration. China has reserved exactly 0 of their crops for purchase behind Trump's unprovoked tariff war. And I'll give you 3 things about it. Thing number 1. Oh, now y'all want socialism. I get it. Handouts for white farmers, good. SNAP benefits for poor black kids, bad. After decades of subsidies that disproportionately went to white farmers, now you want the government to jump in and save you once again? I think it's time to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Thing number 2, your loss, J.D. Vance's gain. The couch cushion Casanova was an early investor in a startup called Acre Traders. They buy up fractional portions of U.S. farmland. This makes your vice president uniquely positioned to capitalize off of all these distressed farms. It's almost as if they have a vested interest in standing by and watching your farm fail. Thing number 3. Where the fuck did all those red hats go? Y'all still them boys or nah? Out of all these images coming out of these farmer prayer sessions, I haven't seen one stitch of MAGA regalia. It's funny how all the merch disappears when he's not targeting immigrants and black folk. I guess the cult meeting got canceled when reality showed up. At the end of the day, this is the perfect case of reaping what you sow, but in this instance, the harvest is bitter. But what do you think? Should these farmers get bailed out, or should we just send our warmest thoughts and tariffs? Drop a comment, like, follow, and share. Click the link in my bio and find me on YouTube.
Why are U.S. soybean farmers struggling right now? Let's break it down. Hi, I'm Bree from TSO Green, and I'm here to talk about soybeans. After trade disputes, China slapped tariffs on American soybeans, making them about 20% more expensive. So naturally, people that want soybeans in China are turning to alternatives, such as Brazil. Second, Brazil has huge competitive advantages. Lower land and seed costs, a weaker currency, and billions of Chinese infrastructure investment, making their soybeans much cheaper. And simply, Brazil's just producing more. Their soybean crop is projected to be 42% bigger than the US. That's huge. This means US farmers are facing shrinking exports, lower prices, and tougher competition. This is why technological advancement is so important in farming. We have to find new ways to create sustainable revenue streams for our farmers. Tariffs, policies, and technologies continue to change, and farmers need to stay up to date.
Oh boy, let's talk about how Trump is screwing the farmers. I have a lot of soybean farmers who are my clients, and this is really bad news. Caleb Ragland, who's the president of the American Soybean Association, he said farmers are heading into a harvest season without a single order from China. 25% of soybean farmers' crops are usually sold to China. The prices of soybeans are down 40% because of what's happening under the Trump administration, and production costs are rising. I'm tying in the Trump administration to this. This Soybean Association president is still speaking up Donald Trump. 500,000 soybean growers in the United States exist and are being severely impacted by this. They're having to now rely on loans to get them through the season. There are 231,000.
Breaking news. MAGA farmers across the United States are crying and complaining about the Chinese not buying their products. What? Yes. The MAGA farmers across the United States are complaining, those that grow soybeans, beef, pork, wheat, corn, fruit, and vegetables, dairy, are all complaining. I think they're whining. I think they want to bail out. What do you all think? I don't think bail them out. I think F around and find out. FAFO, yes, sir. It is estimated that the Chinese now have canceled 26 billion with a B, dollars of contracts that they were going to purchase from U.S. farmers. They're not going to purchase from U.S. farmers now. They're purchasing it from the Russians, from Central and South America countries, and from Canada to fill the needs that the United States farmers would have provided. But because of Donald Trump's tariffs, it's not going to happen now. So you know what? You voted for him. You get the tariffs. He told you he was going to do the tariffs. We are not going to use our tax dollars to bail them out. No. They use the tax dollars to bail out the rich, and I'm opposed to it. What do you think? Bail out these MAGA farmers that voted for Trump? I say, you know what? You lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. You voted for him. You voted for it. He told you he's going to do it. Now you get to suffer the consequences. FAFO. No bailout for any of these whining farmers that voted the wrong way. Suffer the consequences. Love to know what my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burn down light bulbs. No bailouts. Period.
It's not good for anybody.
Cambridge farmer Doug Fuller has been in the business almost 5 decades. He's tiring of the tariff talk, and his solution to make things right is simple. Best case scenario for this year?
That we never have to talk about tariffs again. Free trade is the answer.
China not buying U.S. soybeans just adds to dwindling hopes, as Fuller expects to start harvesting his beans around October 1st. With little hope, China will go on a spending spree.
Doubtful. This has been dragging on, and there doesn't seem, they don't really want to talk with us, and it's just kind of a stalemate right now.
Farmers in this country are in a lot of trouble, and there is legitimately one person to blame. This is one of those instances where it's 100% his fault. Every farmer right now, especially soybean farmers who can't sell their crop because of these tariffs, they can point the blame at one singular person, and that one singular person is Donald Trump.
Well, we depend on the Chinese market. And the reason we depend so much on this market is China consumes 61% of soybeans produced worldwide. Of the soybeans that American farmers produce, 25% currently have been going to China. And right now we have zero sold for this crop that's starting to be harvested right now. So it's a 5-alarm fire for our industry that 25% of our total sales is currently missing. And right now we are not price competitive with Brazil due to the retaliatory tariffs that are in place. And the American soybean farmers and their families are suffering. We need markets and we need opportunity and we need a level playing field so we can compete, because we grow a great product, but we have to be price competitive as well. And there's an artificial barrier that is built with these tariffs that makes us not be competitive.
It's a real fucking problem for these farmers. And maybe Trump will give them a bailout so that they'll keep voting Republican, but their local economies are destroyed forever. Family farms like this man, it's gone forever. Generational wealth that they may have been able to create and pass this down to their family, that's done forever. The satisfaction you get of working for yourself, gone forever.
How difficult is it to be a soybean farmer right now?
Well, we depend on the Chinese market. And the reason we depend so much on this market is China consumes 61% of soybeans produced worldwide. The rest of the world is 39%. Of the soybeans that American farmers produce, 25% currently have been going to China. And right now we have zero sold for this crop that's starting to be harvested right now. So it's a 5-alarm fire for our industry that 25% of our total sales is currently missing. And right now we are not price competitive with Brazil due to the retaliatory tariffs that are in place. Our prices are about 20% higher, and that means that the Chinese are going elsewhere because they can find a better value. And the American soybean farmers and their families are suffering. There's 500,000 of us that produce soybeans, and we desperately need markets and we need opportunity and we need a level playing field so we can compete, because we grow a great product, but we have to be price competitive as well. And there's an artificial barrier that is built with these tariffs that makes us not be competitive.
Has anybody figured out where our bumper crop of soybeans are going? Yeah, because this administration has messed things up so badly with China. China goes, yeah, keep your soybeans, we're good. The biggest buyer in the world of soybeans has said, don't worry about it, we're good. So why doesn't somebody tell me, or tell the U.S. farmers that are bringing in all these soybeans, tell them what they're going to do with them? Somebody needs to come up with a plan, and like really, really quick. Because guess what? China said, thanks, but no thanks. So where are all these soybeans going to go? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? Because I'm sure the farmers are freaking out right now because they have a bumper crop of soybeans that, nobody wants. At least China doesn't want. And China's the biggest, largest buyer. I mean, we could be selling those small countries, but it's not going to put a dent in the soybeans that we have. Is anyone going to start talking about this? Or are we just going to pretend it's not a massive, huge problem because of this administration? Like and follow for more.